Let's get right into it. Steve, welcome to the show.
Thank you, and thank you for reading it. And I think it's important to understand that was given 28 years ago. And what jumped out at me, God bless you, Matt, for reminding me of my own prophecy from 28 years ago. The date was June 27th of, 1992. Now, why this is problematic and interesting is because I've been telling everybody that the Extinction Protocols Conference would take place. And it would be so time sensitive this year that, and I think I said the word immediately, within days, I guess is a better way to say it. And, it's over on a Saturday. So starting the following Monday, things are going to kick into the most deleterious and dangerous mode that's ever happened. And that's why the Extinction Protocols Conference is so important. I want people to understand something. I'm in the process of verifying and validating something that, and I have not done it yet due to time differences between me, Europe, and also Asia. I'm in Montana. But covert intelligence, this is from Hal Turner's site. And by the way, he's okay. He was taken to the hospital. Actually drove himself there, or somebody drove him, and he thought he was having a second heart attack. They kept him in for probably close to, 6-7 hours. Yeah, and he, he's okay now. Again, the attack that's on men of God is overwhelming. Now, as soon as I'm done with this, Doug, I want to pray for Russ on the air. But here's what Hal said, and it's important, okay, that he's getting information. I'm not going to read it word for word because it's for his subscribers only. But the gist of it is airline executives are preparing and being told to prepare for a total airline shutdown in June. I'm seeking confirmation on that. But as Matt drew my attention to it, he basically said, no planes, no trains. And what's happening is a total shutdown. Now we're hearing of gas shortages. I'm going to leave that. Hal is ahead of time. And to those, take your arguments, your complaints, take them to the throne of reality. That's God's ultimate word. And quit criticizing everybody that's trying to give you a heads up on your life. If I had my way, I'd just, in essence, say, you made your decision, go away. But God gives you the last moment to make your decision. So, Doug, when I gave that word, wrote it down quite candidly, it was 28 years ago, June 27th. Everything I'm getting about the currency reset, the day literally we wake up overnight and everything's different. Everything's different. And what's interesting about that is Nathan Rothschild, who's that name is what would you say? It's not lost on the community that knows the power behind the money and the money brokers of the world, the House of Rothschild, the House of Rockefeller, and others now. But the point is that he sent a cryptic, I believe, his Twitter message, and I'm not on Twitter. Somebody sent it to me, and he was showing. He made this statement: imagine one night everything changes, and the next twatter, pitter patter, what do you call it, tweet? Was basically a statement talking, and wasn't even a statement. Forgive me. It was a picture of gold bullion. Okay. What that's telling me is the global reset. And what the prophecy stated was in 1 hour, God's going to bring the entire financial system down in the United States. Now, he understands all the manipulations and all of the machinations of the evil one. But I want people to try and grasp this. No planes, no trains, there'll be nothing in the stores, there'll be no shipments. And history will either prove this right or, basically, I'll be wrong. But 28 years ago, none of this stuff was on anybody's horizon. And I didn't sit around just saying, oh, God, give me a word. These things came to me, and I used to put the time even sometimes early in the morning. And all the Lord would say, get up and write what I tell you to write. And I haven't been doing this. So you guys know, I'm not in every other day, every other word. I don't do that stuff. But I can say this, that he who, the living God, determines the end of a thing at the beginning of a thing is the only one that could have given this to me. And people, go ahead and take it to the Lord in prayer. If this is a true word of God, then everything makes sense that you're seeing now. And I did a podcast, I guess, with Dave Hodges, and he's put it up today, Doug. And the gist of it is everything we've known, the America we've known, is over. And I think people are trying to raise a cadaver, a shell, an empty shell, no spirit of the living God in the shell, by thinking that somehow the white hats, and I think the white hats, I think, as you know, Q Anonymous, I think it's all bullshit. Bullsheet. I'd like to even be more explicit than that. But I think the word bullshit, bull, the lie, sheet, the cover-up, says it well. Now, here's what the last of that June 27, 1992 prophecy says, and then we'll get into some stuff today that should shock everybody. You think that Doug is being premature and warning you of the war that's against you? You think that all of the alt news people aren't trying to basically, if you will, scream the last warnings, the last alerts? We know the day is our voices are silenced. And when that day comes, everything that you've known, that you should have done, you wish you would have done, you could have done, and you'll regret not doing will come into focus. And just like the realization for those who are in heaven, it's glorious. My work on earth is done. I behold the glory of God. I see the most magnificent sights that eyes can't even behold, because when you get your heavenly body, you have heavenly senses, smells that are so beyond glorious, sounds of all creation, the flowers singing praises to God, waterfalls of life, every molecule, every atom, every spiritual essence, all giving glory to God, and you're in his presence for eternity. That's the righteous. But to the damned, instantly you know it's forever. There's no escape. You don't have to worry. You don't have to argue. No one will be there to try and convince you otherwise. You'll know that you know that you know. Now, here was the last paragraph of this prophecy. It's on my website, prophetic words given to me over the years. That's a lot of years, you guys. Stand therefore, my children, in holiness, obedience, and gratefulness, and watch through the eyes of a repentant heart the great things that the Lord God of heaven will do on your behalf, if you will turn from your wicked ways, putting away the lust of the flesh and the pride of life. By me, shepherds become kings, God speaking. Housewives become warriors. The vilest are set free. That would be me. Through forgiveness. You have only to call on me with all your heart. I am the Lord God, your deliverer, and will not forsake you. Now, there is an authority that comes with that word, not because I say it. People said, why when I read that does it sound so different? I said, because all I get to be was basically a stenographer. And I think, Doug, where we're at right now is so critical. The reason the war in the Ukraine has not taken place yet, and I want to talk about some of those things going on, because the spring has to clear, the air political climate has to clear, and as you and I are speaking today on the, 28th of April, going into tomorrow morning, things are happening on a minute-by-minute basis. Most people, if you believe that you're hearing the truth about what's going on with Israel and Iran, you're not. The only way I can say differently is because I'm being made aware of it. If most of the people think that our Defense Department is up on top of things, I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to read to you one of the most heartbreaking, absolute insane statements ever made in the history of the United States Defense Department by the current Secretary of Defense. And this is really problematic, Doug, because in essence, the globalists want the U.S. military destroyed, so anybody who's loyal, anybody who's a patriot, anybody who believes in the country that was is taken out and destroyed. In its place, they want an army, no longer an international army, but they want a local army to make war on the people. Ladies and gentlemen, please watch this happening. Watch it happening before your very eyes. Watch that even servicemen are being recorded as saying, we're not going to take this shot. I think Marines are resisting in a majority of the Marine. God bless the Marine Corps. Because think about how insidious this is, Doug. You could take over a country by basically having your generals, I'm talking about treachery, treason, I'm talking about betrayal. You can have people on your payroll. And by the way, that's what the United States did to the Iraqi generals and the Iraqi politicians. We bought their allegiance and their lack of returning fire in many of the cases. So I want to read this, and I think this is, if you ask me, what's the most provocative, the most, what would I say, dead statement of a dying nation, or maybe the dying statements of a dead nation, it would be this. It would be the statement that was made by the head of the U.S. Defense Department, and it's absolutely absurd that people would listen to this guy. Now, are you aware, Doug, of what I'm talking about?
Yes, but please explain and explain with more specificity exactly what you're talking about. I mean, there's so much going on right now. I mean, you've got. I just want to just toss this in here, kind of in the mixing bowl. Of course, there's the attack on our military by way of this genetically modified shot, jab, or whatever to force that. But that's not happening at the moment. But hold on. There's also an attack on our military by the LGBTQ activists and the woke, people. All right, to really lower the effectiveness of our military. There's an attack from within by people like John Kerry, who spilling secrets to Iran, throwing Israel under the bus. There's Chinese, there's a war strategy going on between U.S. Israel or U.S. Australia, possibly against watching for the Chinese and the Russians, and then there's the Russian threat and the Chinese threat to the United States. So pick one. I mean, yes. I mean, so I guess that's the larger view. I don't know if that even touches on what you're saying, but all of this is, part of what you're talking about.
Yeah, it is. It's national insanity. And the title of the article is "The Pentagon Adopts New Winning Isn't Everything Motto." Excuse me? The Pentagon adopts the new "winning isn't everything" motto. I'm calling this the Thelma and Louise over the edge article because I got to read this, Doug. It took my breath away, not because, can anything be more? Should you change the name of the Defense Department? And all of you generals and all of you military guys, this should make you as furious you could ever be. Listen to the title. After decades of war, and the title, "The Pentagon Adopts New Winning Isn't Everything" motto. After decades of wars in which decisive victory and a coherent purpose were often elusive, the Department of Defense announcement it has adopted a new motto: "Winning isn't everything." That just throws out the entire understanding of war and prevention of war and strength, peace through strength. This is the most acquiescent, kiss the ass of the devil, embrace the cauldrons of hell article I've ever read in my life. Now, listen to this. Moving forward, it's important for us to try and enjoy the process rather than focus on the outcome of international conflict. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said at a Pentagon press conference, "You win some, you lose some. At the end of the day, we can go home with our heads held high knowing that at least we tried." Not if they cut your head off, not if they've blown your head off and they've taken out the United States of America. That guy should be completely removed instantly, in my opinion. Now listen to this. Remember who put the military leaders in. These are not the generals like General Flynn. These are not the guys like General McInerney. These are not the men who were fighting for the country. This is not General Patton. This is not anybody of historic relevance. This is not any of the military guys that led, effective campaigns. If I were sitting in Moscow or Beijing, I'd be dancing. Are you kidding me? Moving forward, it's important for us to try and enjoy the process rather than focus on the outcome of international conflict. You win some, you lose some. Ladies and gentlemen, guess what? You're the lose some. Because when we're talking about global war, when we're talking about, Dave Hodges has explained it, I've explained it, we've talked about it on Doug's show, Chinese war policy, kill every man, woman, and child in the United States, excuse me. Now, here's the Thelma and Louise statement. The movie, when they're driving, they're being pursued by law enforcement, and they decide rather than surrender, they go over the cliff, and it shows them in a convertible going over the cliff. This is a convertible going over the cliff moment. This is a watershed moment. This is the absolute capitulation of the head of the U.S. military saying the most, how should I say this, most psychologically disheartening abandonment of the goal of the military, which is to defend the republic. And it is a republic. Sometimes when you're, quote, Mr. Austin, sometimes when you're cruising down that highway that is war, you just got to lean back, feel the wind in your high and tight. Feel the wind in your high and tight. Those are his words, and try to enjoy the ride. Listen, now here's Mark Milley. It's not about the destination, it's about the journey, man. That's what this new motto means to me. Hypersonic missiles. We've watched EMP weapons be spoken of openly. We've watched the Russians field more, China field 3 battleships in one day. We're watching, ladies and gentlemen, the capitulation of the West. That's why the very words that came in that prophecy 28 years ago are going to be lived out. You're going to see it. And we're going to talk about this in a way. I just got to read the rest of this article. Doug, this is so astonishing to me. Seriously, there's only one thing faster than a hypersonic missile, and that was how fast I went into orbit when I read this. I was instantly there. The path to creating the model wasn't an easy one. The Pentagon funded a 10-year study and experiment with a number of obviously doomed strategies to refine it. You know what the doomed strategies were? The effective ones. Now they have infective ones, okay? Infected. But in the end, it was a handful of self-help blogs and 1990s sports dramas. Listen to this, you guys, that convinced the Pentagon leadership that the U.S. military's best path was to stop stressing about winning and start focusing on living. That means to me that they are totally telling you, hey, it was just about the ride, man. Don't say it, Steve. If this doesn't make you sit up and take notice that no one is coming to your aid except Jesus, and oh, by the way, Jesus, the Pentagon declared war on him. Watch how that works out for them. Self-help blogs. Trillions of dollars in the Defense Department budgets for this, that, and the other thing. And they got to go to blogs? They want a happy feel-good. I got to tell you something. I'm going to call this mushroom madness. I'm not talking about nuclear devices, like mushroom clouds. I'm talking about, man, these guys are getting high with a little help from some mushrooms or something, because you cannot even look at this in a sane or coherent way and believe that we're ready to take on multi-front antagonists. China, Russia. Oh, and by the way, don't forget Venezuela. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, Venezuela is where the majority of Iran's frontline strategic ballistic missiles are. And yes, they have them. People, if you're listening to the old argument, well, we'll never allow Iran to get nuclear weapons. The joke is, look, I knew people that had enough money, 20 years ago, they could buy them. Con, Dr. Khan of Pakistan. If you were an Arab or hated the United States of America, you could buy anything you wanted. And that literally is true.
Steve, let me just ask you a question here, because what you're talking about, have you seen the roughly 1 minute recruiting video from Russia that cites our military leadership and how the unbelievable display of exactly what you're talking about? I mean, have you seen that Russian recruitment video?
No. Do you have it put up?
Yeah. With your permission, I'd like to show it to you right now and get your reaction from it.
People need to see it. People need to see it.
All right. We did show this yesterday, folks, but take a look again at this Russian recruitment video. Understand, this is being played in Russia, all right? And none of this is from the Babylon Bee. None of this is from The Onion. This is all real. Go ahead.
Это первый день твоей новой жизни. То, что было вчера, вопросы могут остаться без ответов, но разве ты сможешь потом спокойно спать? Узнать себя, познать границы своих возможностей. К черту границы. Ты готов ломать себя до изнеможения. Каждый день здесь боль закаляет.
I am committed to leading in the area of diversity and inclusion.
And we can only be the best when diversity and inclusion is who we are and what we're about every day.
Это ты решил себе что-то доказать. Командир здесь только для того, чтобы ты мог увидеть в нем врага. Потому что без врага нет боя, а без боя нет победы.
Diversity and inclusion must be infused into our training and development program.
Твое зайти, стать лучше, чем он, и вернуться назад победителем. Потому что завтра первый день твоей новой жизни.
We need a vigorous application of the Second Amendment right now.
Absolutely, Doug. I want to finish this. I sent it to Eric just so he can show people that I'm really reading from this. But here's the end, okay? The end statement of the quoting of the Secretary of Nonsense, forget defense, let's call him what he really is. The Secretary of Offense against everything that made this country great. That's my opinion. There's no reason, quoting him, we shouldn't be able to blow each other to smithereens out on the battlefield, then shake hands and have a beer afterward, said Austin. That's just good sportsmanship. In goes the good air, out goes the bad. But see, you know what, Doug? Listen. It's over right now. This is the statement, but listen to this. Military leaders also know that win or lose, we all learn some important lessons. And aside from a few 100,000 casualties on either side, we all live to fight another day. Yeah, tell that to the people that gave their lives at the Arlington Cemetery. Tell that to all the battlefields where even so many of our wounded and obviously they're dead other places. Tell that to the aviators. Tell that to the men and women that shed their lives for this country. And this guy makes it a joke? Listen, if there isn't a Republican uprising, even if there are any, and look, I don't know if there are, but I'm hoping there are Democrats, that guy should be recalled immediately. Aside from a few 100,000 casualties on either side, we all live to fight another day, not those who gave their life for freedom. Now, no matter who comes out on top, said Austin, we should all be able to watch our global hegemony crumble, knowing that we did our best. Well, we should all just basically blow everything up. I'm telling you what, there's something not human about that guy. There's almost, you humans, let me put it in my words. If I were a demonic manifestation trying to destroy the camaraderie, if you will, and to instill hopelessness, and I was a supernatural evil entity that hated humanity, I'd put these guys into place. What am I saying specifically? In my opinion, this is the categoric surrender of the United States military, telling us already what to expect. And listen, let me make this statement. No place in the Bible or in history has perversity under the guise of diversity resulted in anything less than destruction. And brother, now this second rocket of my engine is taking me out of the galaxy. We're trying to get people to understand. Here's the rumors right now. To the best of my ability, the best of Doug's ability, look, we're doing everything we can to give you the most realistic moment of information. Can we guarantee 100%? No. But F them. And what I mean by that is those that would continually fight against the truth are either AI programs or they are, how should I say this, enemy agents. If you can see a Russian, what do you say? What would you call that, Doug? A Russian presentation?
A recruitment video, yeah.
Yeah, recruitment video. And you were to hear the Secretary of Defense. What in reading that, Doug, and you're the analyst, what was your response? Did you think you're on another planet? Is this true? Are these people insane? What was your response?
Well, yeah. I mean, so yes, to our detriment, we are attempting to accommodate. I don't even know how to describe this properly, but to our detriment, we are attempting to accommodate a minuscule portion of our population to our peril. I shouldn't say to our peril. And we're doing so under a false pretext. Everyone associated with this is either a liar or a damn liar. And they're setting us up for all of us to be killed. I mean, this is dangerous for everyone. I don't care who you are. It's dangerous for everyone. So, I mean, crazy town, absolutely. But crazy town with a purpose, I think. Crazy town with an agenda, with an objective. And the objective is take all of us useless Christians, useless morality, holders of morality off the planet. That's my view. I mean, I don't know how else to describe that.
Well, no, I think your view is accurate. I think that people have got to understand, how do I say this? So we each lose a couple 100,000. It's not going to be the case. It's going to be millions. Remember this, you guys. The people that appointed this guy are on record as saying 125 million former Trump voters of 72 categories. Anything other than a communist has got to die. What, and Doug, this is my statement. This is a statement I'm trying to get people to understand. What's so hard to understand about a communist revolution that's already identified, the enemy is anybody other than them? And what people need to understand is this, too. We've been talking, and I think, Doug, on your show, I don't know how many years ago, you've got a better memory than I do on time, the Deagle report, when I was the guy that brought it up, and then I was on Alex's show, he ran with it. But very few people even paid attention to that. And it was only when John Deagle, a Rockefeller fellowship and a eugenicist, was, how do I say this, identified as the author of the Deagle report, to refresh everybody's memory. That is the guy that said by the year 2025, there will only be 100 million Americans. Well, I can understand reading what I just read in fury. But here, I want you to all know this. In the last 96 hours, that thing disappeared, only to reappear, the Deagle report. And that all references to that were taken out. Now, I'll tell you why that happened. Because Doug Casey, in my opinion, one of the smartest, absolutely most brilliant forecasters. Those of you who've been with Doug Casey, I remember subscribing to him the first year he had a newsletter, and this was like 25, 30 years ago. But when he started talking about the Civil War, everything coming, and mentioned the Deagle report, that gave the Deagle report credibility beyond what anybody would give to me or Alex or Doug or any Dave Hodges, alt news people. They were the ones that protested, and whoever controls the site, I don't know that. who's in control of the site, took all references. Because here's the thing. I believe God's given us every warning. And I ask Christians this, Doug, what more could God say? And I categorically make this statement. The 10 days of darkness, you better get over 10 days of darkness, because if the Russians use, and they've said they will, the weapons of indignation, I want to make it perfectly clear to everyone. The weapons of indignation are high altitude EMP, electromagnetic pulse weapons. And the thing that's important to understand is that 1 second after, by William Forstner, people know that we go back to the Dark Ages. So there's a statement going around the internet that I challenge it. Anybody that wants to come on your program with me on the White Hats, who identifies himself not as an anonymous spokesman for, I don't deal with chicken poops, okay? I have to deal with chicken clucks, but I don't want to deal with chicken poops. And tell me, what is the basis and who is the basis, and how is that going to happen when nothing, no one, anyone, anywhere sided with the results of the election? When everyone, including everybody from late night talk show hosts to the smallest clerk in a vote counting precinct, when everybody had a singular focus, under no circumstances would Donald Trump be ever allowed into the White House. Betrayed by everyone, yet also betraying even his foundational base, in the sense that trying to say that, rush the vaccine. Look, here's what I'm saying, Doug, in a nutshell. We're going to have darkness. We already are a morally dark nation. The only light remaining is Christianity, and that's about, and look, those Kingdom Now people, watch how that doesn't work out for them. And I'm going to say something I never had I say freedom to say. You will watch professing Christians go to war with each other at the point of a gun. I said, Lord, I don't want to be in that position. I want to be hidden away in you. I'm going to say it again. You will see wars. I was given information. I don't know who yet. And if I did, I wouldn't use the name, because God knows anybody can get sued for anything. But someone who's a major Christian figure in the evangelical community took the Luciferic initiation, pledging his allegiance to Lucifer. When asked, what are you going to do when all the Christians, even the people that follow you, find out? He said, kill them. So when I say what I'm saying to you, what I'm saying to all